All right, Charlotte and I just came back from the auction, and we scored, I think, pretty good. Let's go over some things that we got here. This was one of those auctions where there was no buyer fee, no tax or anything. You bid $5, you paid $5, and they give you these little tickets here. So the first thing that we bid on was these hammers right here. Just a couple extra hammers. I just bid on them. They were $4. I'm not going to make any money off of them, but I can use them. And the second thing that we bid on was this box full of drawer pulls and cabinet pulls. And I looked at them and I could see that some of them were brass. Some of these, like these right here, they look like they're brass, but they're actually aluminum. So there's going to be some value, but there's a whole mess of brass in here. And I paid $8 for that. Hopefully we'll make a little bit of money on that. There's a miscellaneous box right here. I saw this brass, it looked like a towel rack or something. This is brass. I paid $1 for that. So I'm sure I'll get my money back on that. There's a lot of other nice things in here. These old wrenches and there's some Charlotte like there's a little shovel. There's some square stock. You could always use that. The guy was a blacksmith. So he had little things that he had made that's in this little box here. So $1, you can't go wrong there. And miscellaneous lot was this box right here. And this was full of they're either stainless or brass Schlage door handles, like the industrial door handles. A lot of like strike plates and what we got here? Cylinders. You know, these are usually brass. So I'm thinking we're going to do good on that there for $3. I'm sure that there's $3 worth of brass there. Pipe wrench. I always look for a bigger pipe wrench. This is a 24-inch pipe wrench for $5. You know, I see these at auctions all the time. They sell for 30. You know, these rigid aluminum ones. So I thought that was a good deal, $5. And then we have jumper cables. I bought jumper cables again. Last time I paid $5 for a set of jumper cables and ended up making like $4.50, something like that. Well, here I paid $6 and I got 2 sets of jumper cables. So this set here is about like the other ones that I had, and then this one here is the gauge on these are a whole lot bigger. So I'm sure we're going to make good on this one here. For $6, we're going to make pretty good profit on that. And then we got a little key grinder. The guy was apparently a locksmith too, because he had all the locks and he has a key grinder. And I paid $3 for this. I'm sure that that's going to be $3 worth of steel and copper. Hopefully that's a copper windings in this motor here. And then we got some good stuff here. And now I was estimating that this is 10 gauge, this is 10-2 wire. You know, there's 3 strands of 10 gauge wire in there. I figured there was about 150 feet there. I might be wrong, I might be right, I don't know. But I bid it up to $40. All right, so let's go ahead and start breaking some stuff down here and see what we can make out of all these little different lots right here. We'll probably start with, we'll just start with this one here. This one cost $1. I'm sure that we're gonna make $1 just off of the scrap itself, you know, because it's pretty heavy. It's a steel box full of steel. Okay, plus the brass. Plus the brass. All right, let's go ahead and get started and breaking this down and see how we did with the auction. All right, so let's go ahead and break down this miscellaneous box full of just metal stuff here, plus this brass towel rack or whatever. And I know I gotta get these screws out of here. And let's see, there must be a steel rod in here or something. All right, so the rest of this is just brass then. These are all steel. Let's just weigh this brass up real quick. See if we get our money back. Paid $1 for this. All right. So that, this, That and that. So we got 0.85 pounds of brass. So this is just steel. Charlotte wants to keep this. Throw these in here. Let's just see how much we have here. 21.5. All right, let's move on to these drawer pulls, and it looks like hanging hooks. So let's determine which ones are brass first. So these little hooks here are, got a couple of these right here. These are brass. Those are solid brass. I'm going to set these in the brass section. These are brass. Yeah, these are brass. So all of these, those are all brass. These are, so these are just steel. There's one here. All right, so broke all this stuff down, and I divided the brass and this is aluminum and the steel. So the steel will weigh that up. 2.7 pounds of steel. Here's the aluminum. Aluminum is 3.25 pounds of aluminum. And we got some brass here. .45 pounds of brass. All right, so doing pretty good on that. That'll more than cover the cost of this. All right, let's check out these door handles here, see if they are stainless or if they're brass. Okay, so I finished breaking down these door handles, this lot that I paid $3 for. So let's see if we did all right on that here. I got everything divided. I got the stainless steel, the aluminum, the steel, and then the brass here. So let's go ahead and weigh up the stainless steel here. Turn on the scale, and we are at zeros. Not a whole lot of stainless, but when you're talking trying to make $3 back, you got to get everything. All right, we have 2.2 pounds of stainless steel. All right, so we'll weigh up the aluminum here. And we come up with 2.05 pounds of aluminum. And we'll weigh the steel here. Just gonna throw that bucket on there. 7.1 pounds of steel. And the brass. Now, I know this blue tub weighs 0.2 of a pound, so we got it zeroed out. Set that on there. Look at that, actually 7.8 pounds of brass because this tub weighs 0.2. 7.8 pounds of brass. That's nice. Okay, so out of the three things that we broke down so far, you can see on the miscellaneous box that cost us $1. We have turned that into $3.36. And on the drawer pulls, we paid $8 for those, and we turned that into $12.21. The stainless steel door handles, a lot of brass in there. We paid $3 for that box, and we had turned that into $20.19. So at a cost of $12, our revenue so far is $35.76. So let's keep going and see how much profit we can get. We're gonna strip these jumper cables down. All right, I got those jumper cables done, and there's a nice little pile of copper right there. Unfortunately, this bigger pile is aluminum. So we'll go ahead and weigh it up anyway. So we got a little bit of copper, a little bit of aluminum. All right, so I got this bucket tared out, and I'm gonna weigh the aluminum. All right, and we come up with 2.45 pounds of aluminum. All right. And our copper, let's get that tared out. We have 1 pound of copper. And the shred. Let's weigh the shred up here. And we come up with 2.7 pounds of shred. All right, let's add up the numbers here. All right, so here's what we got so far. The total cost, we're up to $18 on the things that we broke down on this lot here. A pound of copper, 370 aluminum, that counts as sheet aluminum, so that's 60 cents a pound, $1.47. And the steel, 2.7 pounds for 18 cents. That comes up to a total of $5.35. I am just not having any luck with jumper cables lately. I just took a 65-cent loss on that one there. The last time I bought them, I took a 50-60 cent loss. But anyhow, our total revenue is up to $41.11. This, I paid $40 at the auction. I was guessing there was 150 feet of 10 gauge wire. And just doing the math, I'm expecting to get about 50 bucks out of this. Let's go ahead and strip this down. So we got all this underground Romex wire stripped, and as I was stripping it, I realized about half of that was 12 gauge, so that's going to take a lot of the weight. So we're not going to get as much as I was expecting, but anyhow, we'll see what happens here. Turn the scale on here and zero this out. All right. And we come up with 9.6 pounds. Yeah, that's okay. So we spent $40 on this. Let's do a running total and see where we're at now. All right, so we're up to a total of $58 in cost, and with the 9.6 pounds of Bear Bright at $3.70, that puts us to $35.52. Now, I paid $40 for this, so we're going backwards, but that brings us to a total revenue of $76.63. So we're actually up, but we have this key machine left. Paid $3 for that, so that's going to put us at a total cost of $61. And let's break this down and see where we're at and get a final total revenue from this auction. All right, so we got this key machine broke down. Let's go ahead and weigh it up. We're not gonna get too much out of this, but we'll weigh the steel up. Oh. Turn this on, zero that out, and we'll weigh the steel up. It comes up to 36.15 pounds of steel. And the windings were aluminum, so no copper in this thing. So we end up with 1.8 pounds of aluminum. And we have a little bit of extension cord. Put that on there, and it comes up to half a pound. All right, let's get the final total of the whole entire auction and see how we did. Okay, so that brings us to total cost of $61, and off this key machine, 36.15 pounds of shred at 6.5 cents is $2.35. The aluminum was 1.8 pounds at 55 cents for $1.08, and a half a pound of wire for $1.25, giving us 63 cents and a total of $4.06 off this $3 machine. Not the greatest. So here's our total for the entire auction that we spent, $61, and a total revenue of $80.69. So about a 25% increase. It's not the best auction we've ever had, but you know what? It's still in the positive, and that's what we look for. All right, Charlotte and I are going to end this video here on this auction. And, you know, auctions are fun for us. We enjoy going to them. And
sometimes we do good, and sometimes we don't do so good. But we always have fun doing it.
All right, so we have more auctions coming up, and so for now, we just got to get our scrap to the scrapyard so we can get paid. Okay, thanks for watching.